Oh, Woody, and here again with a couple of little stories, a couple of little things that have happened to me recently over the last few days, which show the impact that you can have on other people and that other people have maybe on you as well. For those who aren't aware, yesterday was actually my birthday, so I managed to reach the grand old age of 53. And as I pointed out to someone on Facebook yesterday, um, you get to this sort of age, and the only thing you're sort of really celebrating now is the fact that you've got to another year, another milestone. And somebody, Karen Jabberbird, actually on Facebook, posted a little video on my wall which she'd found somewhere of a little happy birthday song, and the lyrics to that song were along those sort of lines. The fact that you've got another year, another tick in the box, and I think very good little video. And that's one of the things that got me yesterday was the fact that about sort of 40 odd people actually took the trouble to write something on my wall on Facebook and wish me a happy birthday, and say post a little video like that as well, or leave a little message or something. Yes, I know it doesn't take that much to do that. It's just a few, typing, a little bit of typing on the keyboard and press enter and away you go. But people actually took the trouble to do that. We all moan, or so many people now moan, about places like Facebook and social networks generally, and that all these friendships, etc., don't mean anything at all. They're all throwaway, friendships. They don't mean anything whatsoever, and yet 40 odd people actually took the trouble to do that, and they needn't have bothered to do it, and it wouldn't have mattered if they hadn't, type of thing. But the fact that they did makes a difference, and I've seen it. I've done it on other people's walls as well, when you see their birthday come up. And I even had things, the same sort of thing, a few messages on Twitter, and even a message on my YouTube account as well. And that makes you feel pretty good, and I'd like to thank everybody who took the trouble to do that. And it showed me the sort of value of those sort of internet friends. As I said, so many people put those down. I've been very lucky to meet a lot of the people via Facebook, via YouTube, via Twitter, or whatever. And I should imagine that quite a few of those people that I got messages from or greetings from yesterday, I haven't even met, but they still took that trouble to do it. One of the things that was put up on my Facebook page was by Gary, a good friend of mine over there in America, who I met via YouTube, via the internet, and would have met otherwise, and have now spent a couple of great sort of holidays over there in America, and a couple of road trips and that. 3 years ago he actually did a video for my 50th birthday, because he's a very good artist, and he did like a drawing which he condensed down into like a 7-minute video, which is with his own music, of drawing of a picture of myself from the internet somewhere. I reposted that yesterday because he put it onto my wall as part of a birthday greeting. He refound it, so it certainly took me back, and you wonder how the time flies. But one of my other friends from locally, someone who I met via Twitter, there you go, another one, and I've now become fairly good friends with, although even though he's sort of 30 years younger than me, pointed out, yes, what a great friend you must have to do that for you in the first place, and what a great artist. But that sort of meaning of these sort of friendships, as I said, you do have an effect on people, whether you realise it or not. Yes, as I said before, it's only writing a little comment and pressing enter, but it's the fact that people do take the trouble to do that when they needn't bother, as I said before. The other thing was that I went to a funeral on Friday. I mentioned in my last video that an old friend of mine, someone who used to be a singer in the band that I was in the mid-80s, took his own life. I found out now on the 21st of February, and it was his funeral on Friday. So I went back up to Tunbridge, where I used to live. I left there in 1988, and I hadn't seen Phil, the singer, since that particular time, since I'd left. Some people I had seen, but not many. There's only a couple of people that I've seen in the interim from that time, that part of my life, really. I sort of moved away. Some people didn't even realise that I had moved away. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe that effect isn't quite as big as you think. But it was good to meet up with other people. As I said, people that I haven't seen for sort of 23 years sometimes. But people remembered me. People, some people, okay, they had to be introduced, but as soon as they think, oh yeah, that's right, you're the guy who used to play bands and used to be the drummer in this and that type of thing, and you get back into what you were talking about. Other people come along, they look at you and you think, hang on a minute, I say, hello, it's in you for so long. And it was good to meet up with those particular people, and good to find out that some of those are still involved in making and using music as part of their life now all those years later. That's reassuring to know. And some of them made music even more of a music sort of part of their career, I think, if you want a career in music, I don't know. But that was good, and people were sort of saying to me, remembering about all those times we were there, obviously to celebrate the life of Phil, and part of his life, a big part of his life actually was music, especially that sort of time in the mid-80s, which he used to think about a lot, I know. Um, that was a real big highlight of his life, I think. So it got us naturally talking about that. But the conversations we were having, people reminding me of gigs that we used to play, people remembering the songs that we used to play at the gigs, songs that we wrote all those years ago, and particular incidents at gigs which I'd forgotten about. Oh yeah, do you remember that gig we did this and you did that? And they're thinking, wow. And there was a photo book there. And a lot of the photos in the album of Phil were of his sort of musical career, if you want to put that. In later life, when he used to do a lot of karaoke and things, well, after the sort of time that I really knew him. But all those photos, a lot of photos from that sort of mid-80s period when we played in bands, and sort of took me back to gigs and events which, not that I've forgotten about, but I didn't remember looking at that, the visual side of it, because obviously it's one of those strange things is when you're playing on stage, you often wonder what it looks like, or even to an extent what it sounds like, because you can't see yourself, yet you see it through a video or something. So it was interesting to see that, and everyone reminiscing and having a good laugh about that type of thing. But the fact that people remembered that makes you think, well, people remember that type of thing. They remember me, or they remember our music. It had an effect on people all that long time ago, probably because it was a good part of their life, and there's a lot of enjoyment through it as well. But since then, or literally just before then, because of Phil's death, I'd sort of sought out lots of stuff that I knew to do with the band, found it in the loft, got some photos out, which I did put on the end of the last video. But what I also found was an old mini disc of a live performance we did at the Mean Fiddler Club in London in May of 1986, and eventually, after lots of trials and tribulations, I managed to digitise it, and I put it up onto SoundCloud, and I will actually put the link to it down there. I did put a link on my Facebook page, and I was telling the guys at the funeral, and we're talking to people, exchanging email addresses and all that type of thing as well, and getting back into conversations as though you'd never sort of lost it after 23 years disappeared in an instant, which was really nice as well. Snapped straight back into the old days type of thing. But some people have been on there, and I was amazed that people have been on to SoundCloud. They've People have listened to the songs, people have downloaded the songs, because I enabled that, because I thought some people might want to share them, which they obviously have. And I find that amazing that people A, listen to them, but B, have actually downloaded them as well. And I've also been contacted by someone who did play in our band all those years ago. I don't think we ever actually did any gigs, so it sort of brings you back. He was searching for things to do with the band because he wanted to hear the stuff again. And once again, there's that little thing, you've touched that sort of person's life as well. And that's got me into contact with him again, it's got me into contact with other people, and it all stems from the effect that somebody else had on my life and our lives. Although Phil sadly is no longer here, and his family probably weren't expecting that many people to be at the funeral, judging by certain aspects of it, there were a lot of people there, especially people from that sort of music community around the Tunbridge area, and people who knew him through his music, especially the band days, but also later in life as well. And that just shows you that even the family, they just don't realise the effect that their son or their grandson or whatever could have on other people, and it brings them back to show their respects after all those times. So that probably brought it home to them, but it also brought it home to me. He had an effect on me, obviously, which is why I travelled to pay my own respects, to go to the funeral as well. But obviously it's shown me in many different ways through that and through the birthday as well, the effect that we all have on other people's lives. Yes, we all have a varying effect depending on what you do, that musical side of things. Yes, I suppose that can make you more memorable in some ways because it was an enjoyable time or something like that, but it doesn't matter what it is. We all put those comments on people's videos, or reply to tweets or something like that, or put a comment up on the Facebook page or something like that. You wouldn't do that if you didn't think something of the person that you were doing it for. So think about that the next time you do it, and just think we all have an effect, no matter how small it is. It's still an effect. That ripple can turn into something much bigger. Thanks very much. I'll speak to you again soon. Goodbye.